You open your eyes and the air hits you like a wall of hot humidity. The smell is strange, a mix of rotting vegetation, stagnant water, and something else, something primitive that your modern brain doesn't recognize. You're lying on giant ferns, with leaves the size of your body. And when you look up, the blue sky filters through canopies of trees you've never seen before. Enormous conifers mixed with prehistoric palms. You slowly sit up, and then you see it. About 50 meters away between the trees, a creature 12 meters long is tearing leaves from the high branches. Its skin is scaly, its tail ends in a bony mass the size of a refrigerator, an ankylosaurus, alive, breathing, real. Your heart stops for a second. You look around and begin to notice more figures among the vegetation. A group of creatures with bony crests on their heads drinks from a nearby stream. Hadrosaurs, and beyond that, the unmistakable silhouette of 3 horns and a bony shield, an adult triceratops. Your mind from 2025 processes the information at full speed. Late Cretaceous, Hell Creek Formation. You're in what will someday be Montana, but right now it's a subtropical swamp full of the last dinosaurs that will ever walk the earth. And then you understand the date. You know exactly when you are. 66 million years ago, the last day of the Mesozoic era. Because somewhere in space, approaching at more than 72 kilometers per hour, there's an asteroid 10 kilometers in diameter that's going to strike what is now the Yucatan Peninsula. And when it does, it will release the energy of 1 billion atomic bombs. 75% of all species on the planet will die, including every dinosaur you see around you. You have less than 24 hours, but the question isn't whether you can save the dinosaurs. That's impossible. The real question is whether you can survive, because in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you that waking up 66 million years in the past doesn't make you a privileged observer of history. It makes you another potential victim of the most devastating extinction event Earth has experienced in 180 million years. And the line between witnessing the end of the world and dying with it is much thinner than you imagine. Get ready, because this isn't a science fiction movie. This is a survival exercise against cosmic forces that even the most powerful beings on the planet couldn't face. It's the first hours after your arrival, approximately 20 hours until impact. The first thing you notice is the heat. The late Cretaceous was significantly warmer than the modern world. There were no polar ice caps. Sea levels were much higher. And what is now the center of the United States was divided by an inland sea that separated the continent into 2 land masses. You're on the western coast of that sea, in an ecosystem of swamps, forests, and coastal plains, where the average temperature exceeds 25 degrees Celsius, even in the most temperate zones. Your modern human body isn't adapted to this environment. The atmospheric oxygen is slightly different. The pathogens floating in the air are completely unknown to your immune system. Every breath is a risk. Every sip of water could kill you before the asteroid does. And here's your first brutal problem. You have no resources. You have no tools, no shelter, no practical knowledge of prehistoric survival. Your knowledge of the future is completely useless because there's no one to warn. The dinosaurs won't listen to you. There's no civilization. There's no technology. There's absolutely nothing you can do to change what's coming. But there is something you can do. Survive long enough to witness the most catastrophic event in the planet's history. And for that, you need to understand exactly what's going to happen and when. 6 hours have passed. It's approximately 2 in the afternoon at your location. 14 hours until impact. You've found temporary shelter under the roots of a fallen tree, away from the paths that predators use. And as you observe the ecosystem around you, you understand the magnitude of what's about to be lost. This world is alive in a way yours will never know. Edmontosaurus graze in herds of hundreds, their calls resonating through the swamp. Pterosaurs the size of small planes cross the sky, hunting fish in the nearby rivers. And somewhere in this forest, you know there's a Tyrannosaurus rex, the most fearsome predator that has ever walked the earth. And all of them, absolutely all of them, are going to die in the next 24 hours. 180 million years of evolution ended in an instant. The knowledge overwhelms you. You know things that no being on this planet can even imagine. You know about the asteroid. You know about the physics of the impact. You know it's going to create a crater 180 kilometers in diameter and 30 kilometers deep. You know the energy released will be equivalent to 100 teratons of TNT. You know the temperature at the point of impact will exceed 10,000 degrees Celsius, almost twice the surface of the sun. But your knowledge is worthless. You can't build a bunker. You can't evacuate. You can't warn anyone. You can only watch and try not to die. 12 hours have passed. It's night. 8 hours until impact. The Cretaceous night is terrifying. Without light pollution, the stars shine with an intensity you've never seen. The Milky Way is a band of light so bright you could almost read by it. And among those stars, still invisible, death is coming. The night sounds are a symphony of the unknown. Growls, screeches, the cracking of branches under enormous feet. You can't sleep. Every shadow could be a predator. Every noise could be your end. And then you hear it. A deep, guttural roar that makes the ground vibrate under your feet. The Tyrannosaurus is hunting. Somewhere nearby, the king of dinosaurs is chasing its prey. And you, a human weighing 70 kilograms with no claws, no fangs, with nothing but your useless knowledge of the future, are the most vulnerable creature for miles around. You stay perfectly still. You barely breathe. Time stretches to infinity as you wait for the predator to move away. Minutes, perhaps an hour. Finally, the sounds of the hunt fade into the distance. You survived the night. But the irony is brutal. That Tyrannosaurus that almost killed you has less than 8 hours to live, and it doesn't know. It can't know. For it, this is simply another night of hunting. Another night in a world that has belonged to its species for millions of years. A world that's about to end. It's 6 in the morning, 2 hours until impact. The dawn of the last day of the dinosaurs is extraordinarily beautiful. The sun rises over the swamps, tinting the sky orange and pink. The pterosaurs begin their morning flights. The herds of herbivores wake up and begin to feed. It's a completely normal day. The last normal day in 66 million years. You know what's coming, and that destroys you inside. Somewhere over the Gulf of Mexico, the asteroid is already visible to the naked eye for anyone looking south. A point of light growing rapidly, brighter than any star, brighter than the moon. But no one here is looking. No one knows they should be looking. You decide to move. You need to find high ground, some kind of protection from what's coming, although you know it probably won't help. More than 3,000 kilometers from the impact point, the immediate effects will take time to arrive, but they will arrive. They always do. It's 7:45 in the morning. 15 minutes until impact. From an elevated hill, you can see miles of swamp and forest stretching in all directions. The dinosaurs continue with their lives. A group of triceratops protects their young while grazing. 2 tyrannosaurs fight over the remains of prey. Pterosaurs fish in a nearby lake. And then you see it. On the southern horizon, a point of light. Bright. Too bright. It grows at an impossible speed, becoming a fireball that illuminates the sky like a second sun. The animals around you stop. Something in their primitive brains registers that this is wrong. Very wrong. The asteroid passes through the atmosphere in just 5 seconds. It travels at more than 20 kilometers per second. Not even the air can get out of its way. And then it impacts. At 3,000 kilometers away, you don't see the explosion immediately. Light travels faster than sound, faster than the shockwave, but what you do see is the sky. The southern horizon turns white, a blinding, unbearable white that forces you to close your eyes and cover your face. The impact has occurred. At this precise moment in what will become the Yucatan Peninsula, 25 trillion tons of rock are being vaporized. A crater 100 kilometers wide and 30 deep is forming in seconds. The temperature at the impact point exceeds 10,000 degrees Celsius. Every living being within a radius of 500 kilometers is dying instantly, and the wave of destruction is coming toward you. 13 minutes have passed since the impact. The sky continues glowing with an unnatural light. The dinosaurs around you are in panic. The herbivores run in no direction. The predators roar in confusion. None of them understands what's happening. Their brains aren't designed to process the end of the world. And then the rain begins. It's not water, they're glass spherules, fragments of molten rock that were launched into space by the impact and are now falling back into the atmosphere. As they re-enter, they heat up until they glow like billions of simultaneous shooting stars. The energy they release as they descend is colossal. According to scientists who would study this event 66 million years later, the infrared radiation from this rain of fire was enough to raise the Earth's surface temperature to lethal levels. The sky turns red, not metaphorically, literally red, as if it were made of liquid lava, and everything around you begins to burn. 30 minutes have passed since the impact. The seismic waves from the impact reach your location. The ground shakes with a violence that no modern earthquake could match. Trees fall. The nearby lake churns in impossible waves. The dinosaurs still standing stumble and fall. You cling to a rock, trying not to be thrown to the ground. The shaking lasts minutes that feel like hours, and when it finally stops, the world around you has changed. The forests are burning. Smoke fills the air, making it almost impossible to breathe, and the heat is unbearable. The rain of spherules has turned the atmosphere into an oven. Modern studies would estimate that the surface temperature rose enough to literally cook the exposed vegetation and animals. Around you, dinosaurs are dying. Not dramatically like in the movies. They simply collapse. The heat, the smoke, the trauma, their bodies can't take it. 180 million years of evolution ending in whimpers and silence. 3 hours have passed since the impact. The sound finally arrives. The sound of the impact itself, traveling at the speed of sound through the atmosphere. It's a roar that makes every noise you've ever heard in your life seem like a whisper, a continuous thunder that pierces the eardrums and makes every cell of your body vibrate. For the dinosaurs still alive, this sound ruptures their eardrums. The Tyrannosaurus, with their acute hunter's hearing, are instantly deafened. Not that it matters, they don't have much time left. The smoke has blocked the sun. In broad daylight, darkness spreads across the landscape, and the temperature begins to drop. The same material that heated the atmosphere is now cooling it, blocking the sunlight. The nuclear winter has begun, and you're still alive. Against all odds, you're still breathing. 12 hours have passed since the impact. It's night, but you couldn't tell by the sky. The darkness is total. There are no stars, no moon, nothing. Just an impenetrable ceiling of ash and debris covering the entire planet. The temperature has dropped dramatically. The scorching heat from hours ago has become a damp cold that penetrates to the bones. The forest fires continue burning, providing islands of light and heat in a world that has become dark and cold. You approach one of these fires, staying far enough not to burn, but close enough not to freeze. Around you, dinosaur carcasses cover the landscape. The Triceratops you saw this morning is dead, its enormous body lying on its side with eyes open and glassy. The Tyrannosaurus that was hunting last night has fallen in a clearing, its jaw full of teeth forever open in a roar that never finished. And you are possibly the only conscious being for miles who understands what happened, what is happening, what is coming. 24 hours have passed since the impact. The first day of the Cenozoic has ended. Against all logic, you're still alive. The distance from the impact, the luck of finding shelter, your knowledge of what to avoid, everything combined to keep you breathing when trillions of creatures died. But death hasn't finished. It has barely begun. The dust and soot in the atmosphere will block sunlight for months, perhaps years. Plants will die without photosynthesis. Herbivores will die without plants. Carnivores will die without herbivores. It's the total collapse of the planetary food chain. The oceans will become acidic from the rain, contaminated with sulfur from the impact. The ozone layer will be devastated. Global temperatures will fluctuate wildly between lethal extremes, and this nuclear winter, this slow apocalypse, will last longer than any dinosaur could survive. Of the species that will manage to survive, most will be small. Rat-sized mammals that can hide in burrows and survive on carrion. Small birds that can find seeds and shelter. Cold-blooded reptiles that can slow their metabolism and wait for better times. The non-avian dinosaurs, the giants that dominated this planet for 180 million years, will survive none of them, not a single one. And you, the time traveler, the accidental witness to the end of an era, now understand the most brutal lesson that natural history can teach. Knowledge is not power when you face cosmic forces. You can know exactly what's going to happen, when it's going to happen, and why it's going to happen. But if you can't do anything about it, that knowledge is just a different form of suffering. The dinosaurs died without knowing why. You survive knowing exactly why, and that isn't necessarily better, but there's something more, something that scientists from your era would discover millions of years later studying this event. The extinction of the dinosaurs wasn't just a tragedy, it was an opportunity. In the ecological niches left empty by the giants, small mammals will begin to diversify. They will grow in size and complexity. They will develop larger brains, more complex social structures, and eventually, 66 million years later, one of their descendants will wake up in this same place at this same moment to witness the event that made their existence possible. You. The extinction happening around you isn't the end of life on Earth. It's the end of one chapter and the beginning of another. The chapter that will eventually lead to humanity, to civilization, to the science that would allow you to understand all of this. Without this asteroid, without this catastrophe, without this day of death and destruction, you wouldn't exist. Your species wouldn't exist. Your world wouldn't exist. It's the most disturbing paradox imaginable. You're witnessing the event that destroyed one world to create yours, and you don't know whether to feel horror or gratitude. In the end, waking up on the day of the dinosaur extinction doesn't make you a hero. There's no one to save, nothing to prevent, no history to change. It makes you a witness, the only conscious witness to what it means when the universe decides that a species' time has ended. And perhaps that's the final lesson. The one no history book can teach you. The one no movie can capture. Extinction doesn't discriminate. It doesn't matter how big you are, how strong, how well adapted to your environment. When cosmic forces decide your time is over, it's over. The Tyrannosaurus, the most fearsome predators that have ever existed, died just like the smallest insects. Size, strength, ferocity, none of that mattered. What mattered was adaptability, the ability to change, to survive in impossible conditions, to find a way to keep going when everything else has ended. The dinosaurs couldn't adapt to a world without sun, without plants, without the conditions that had defined their existence for 180 million years. But others could. And from those survivors, from those small and seemingly insignificant creatures that managed to endure the years of darkness, would eventually come everything you know. You didn't save the dinosaurs. No one could have. But you survived to see the dawn of a new era. And that, against all odds, is enough. Would you have the courage to wake up 66 million years in the past, knowing you're about to witness the end of a world? Could you bear being a witness to the extinction of creatures that dominated the planet for longer than humanity could ever dream? Leave in the comments what you would do if you woke up on the last day of the dinosaurs. And if this video made you reflect on how fragile life is, even for giants, leave your like and subscribe to the channel. Until the next video.